Okay, our next inductee is without a doubt the most influential person in the history of the riding program at Mary Washington. An accomplished rider in her 4-year career at MWC, she advanced to 4 regional finals in each year she competed. In addition, she graduated with summa cum laude honors, was Phi Beta Kappa, and graduated in honors in English. After graduation, she made an even greater impact as the head coach of the riding team from 1984 to 1998, leading the team to repeated national show appearances and championships. She's developed numerous equine professionals through the years, including Kathleen Bonner and Teresa C., who are our current UMW head coach, who are both with us this evening. Among the team's highlights under Carol's tutelage were a runner-up finish, reserve high point team honors for those in the riding know. In 1998, a 4th place national finish in 1989, a 5th place finish in 1990, and a 6th place finish in 1994. Since her time at MWC, she has continued to serve the sport as a professional rider, trainer, judge, and clinician, training riders of all ages to local, regional, and national awards. She has taught riding to disabled riders, including those with cerebral palsy and severe autism. In the words of the longtime athletic director, Ed Hegman, as a highly successful 4-year intercollegiate rider, Carol was a poised, confident, and fierce competitor. Just 3 months after graduation, in spite of now coaching peers and close friends, she commanded total respect from her riders and started an equally successful and brilliant 14-year career as our riding coach. When necessary, Carol can disarm you with a wink and a few darlings in her perfectly practiced deep Southern drawl that could disavow her ever-present and very competitive nature. Now an extremely successful wife, mother, professional rider, trainer, judge, and master teacher, coach on local, regional, and national levels, Carol continues to embody all those characteristics of a true Hall of Fame person. Along the way, Carol was able to corral a member of the men's basketball team who ended up a Hall of Famer in his own right and is seated next to her this evening, in her husband and Hall of Fame nomination chairman, although he didn't have final veto power on photographs, Buddy. I'm happy to announce that Buddy and Carol are the first set of spouses to be inducted into the Hall of Fame at Mary Washington, with another duo set for induction come announcement of the soccer team in a little bit. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Mary Washington Athletic Hall of Famer, Carol Hawley.
Oh my goodness. This is such an amazing honor, and I'm so touched and grateful to Teresa C., my former student and team member that nominated me. When I found out she had done that, that was all I needed to really make my life. That a student of mine who is now a force of her own in the horse professional world would think of me like that. The fact that I'm actually standing here speaking to you is just more than I can even stand, because that was enough, just that she would think of me like that. And my pride of her knows no limits. I was telling her team today that I drive her crazy. As long as we've been colleagues, I still have every email, every text, every phone message has to tell her how proud I am of her. And I told her team today, I know it must get on her nerves after a while, and I don't really care. It's also an incredible joy to see my family, my friends, my current students, my former students all here. And I'll have to say that everything starts with my incredible mama, sitting right over there, celebrated veterinarian, accomplished horsewoman, fierce competitor, all in her own right. I grew up watching my beautiful, talented sisters compete, My middle sister was actually a member of my intercollegiate team, thankfully, because she was really, really good. Unfortunately, my other sister was at a competing university for 4 years, making my life more difficult at the horse shows, ending up in the same classes as my point rider. Wanted to root for her, but wanted to win too, because as my middle sister will tell you, I do a good job hiding it, but I am a ribbon hog. And to continue the family connections, my brother-in-law, Robbie Cirillo, one of my wonderful team riders, regional winner among many nationally ranked teams, married my sister. It's now been a part of my life. My nieces and nephew are all involved in horses, either by taking lessons or being a part of my mom's farm. And my wonderful, sweet, talented, precious daughter is 12 years old. And along with being one of my best students, the most precious gift she gives me in my career is that she is teaching me how to fall in love with this all over again by looking at it through her eyes. My father isn't here tonight. He passed away 2 years ago. And he was the one person standing outside the entire circus watching it, trying to be as careful as he could not to get too close. But I tell you something, he would think this was the coolest thing since sliced bread. He would love it. And speaking of the word circus, the horse industry is absolutely a crazy place. It is a circus. On the one hand, horses are beautiful, majestic creatures. And when you are on that horse and you get it right, there is no feeling like that in the entire world. But horses are stressful. They're expensive to take care of. They're fragile. They're unpredictable. They're out of control. And because of this, they will bring out the best in people, and they will bring out the worst in them. Horses and horse sports can make your heart sing, and it can make your heart break into a million little pieces. And I have to tell you, when I came to Mary Washington, my heart was in a million little pieces. I had been through some things that were a little heartbreaking to me. Came to Mary Washington, I was not going to ride. Not going to do it. My roommates were trying out for teams, and I would tell them that I rode horses, and I learned later that when they would go to lunch without me, if I was in class, they would say, she says she rides horses. I don't see any stuff. There's no boots. There's no helmet. And then one day, early in the semester, the riding coach, Anita Riedel, called me, and I'll never forget being in the kitchen on the phone. Back then, people, there were no phones inside your room. You were on the hall or you were in the kitchen. And I was in the kitchen, and Anita said to me, you haven't signed up for any riding classes, but I'd really like you to come out and ride and just meet us. Would you be willing to do that? And I said, okay. So went on out there, came back in her vehicle with the other kids that rode, and they said to me, there's another spot left on the team, and there's 3 girls competing for it. We told coach to pick you. So I got back to my dorm, came in the room, looked at my roommates and said, I just made the riding team. And they couldn't believe it. So that was just such a funny story. But I'm so grateful to her for doing that, because when I came back from that trip to Hazelwild, I went from having my heart in a million little pieces to feeling like I was 10 feet tall. So those little things make a difference. And I did enjoy a lot of personal success on the riding team. And when it got close to my senior year, the coach was leaving and moving away to get married, and the owner of Hazelwild, Miss Morrison, her name is up on the indoor arena at Hazelwild where the team practices, affectionately known as Aunt Sissy. She asked the coach, do you know of anyone that could replace you at Hazelwild, kind of doing your own thing, being on your own, doing the intercollegiate team? And she said, yes. And she mentioned me. So Miss Morrison, Aunt Sissy, brought me in her living room, sat me down and said, you've never taught a riding lesson in your life. What makes you think you can do this? And I said, I don't know. I've watched a lot of things, thought a lot of things worked, thought a lot of things don't work, but I'm willing to try. And she said, well, let's just see what you can do. So away I went with Aunt Sissy on one arm and Ed Hegman on the other. And Ed used to tease me when he first came out to Hazelwild. He called the facility that we worked out of the Jesus, Mary, and Joseph barn because it reminded him of the nativity scene. And some of you guys remember that barn, don't you? And I'll have to say that Aunt Sissy was a little resistant to change, but when she saw change happen, it excited her to do more change. So that was a wonderful thing because the program needed a little structure, needed a little rebuilding. And with Ed on my other arm, it was possible. With her on one arm and him on the other, he made me feel like I could do anything, which was so important. When we had success, he was there to celebrate it. When I had a problem, he was there to console me, help me figure out how to change it. And when he saw trouble coming and I didn't believe it and mistakes were made, he never said, I told you so. And all through the years, my students, both former and current students, we've done a lot of winning, And winning is wonderful. But what is winning, really? Really, what is it? Thought about this a lot. And I don't think it's beating the other person. I don't think it's amassing points and trophies. I think it's that lit up feeling inside you when you get it right. It's celebrating it when you get it right. It's fixing it. It's working hard to fix it when you get it wrong. It's creating something with your body, your mind, and your heart that is beautiful. It's taking limitations and turning them into assets. When I think about my students' successes, past and present, I think about the transformative process that they go through to get there. I think about how they overcome challenges, how they work hard. I think about the quality of their work, what they bring to their work. And then the ribbons and the trophies just naturally follow. When I think about Tammy, and I think about Heather, and I think about Maureen, my college girls sitting there, and Teresa, of course, and Robbie, and Anne Marie. I don't just think about how they were regional champions or part of nationally ranked teams. I think about how I used to always call Tammy Christy Brinkley, and how behind that supermodel smile was ice water in her veins. She was tough. Right before going to nationals, one of our 1,000-pound horses slammed her into a jump. She rode all the way to New York with an air boot on her leg and went in it and competed and did beautifully, gave it her all. I think about Heather at the ANRC National Championship, getting the highest score from the judge of the entire horse show. And toward the end of her ride, her horse became a little bit sore. And that was a rule that her score had to be thrown out. It is such a memory, way more valuable than a blue ribbon or a trophy, that judge for 45 minutes was trying to talk the officials out of the decision and let her win. Maureen, I have a picture of you in my office at the ANRC Nationals on one of my favorite horses, but a most difficult horse. you were barely 90 pounds soaking wet, and yet you could sit on anything and you could ride that difficult horse at that national championship. That's what I think about. That's what I think about is winning. Every day, I train riders and horses, and they learn from me, and I, in turn, learn from them, and I'm grateful for those relationships. And I'd like to share one thought concerning success, because we're all here tonight because we have enjoyed a great deal of success in our past and possibly in our futures. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the deeper meaning of the word that I think we're all striving for. About 18 years ago, I was going through one of the worst times of my life, and my husband copied a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he gave it to me. And for 18 years, I've kept this in my wallet, and I take it out once in a while and I read it. I'm going to read it to you. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded. Thank you, buddy, and thank you all.